Hello, heroes and Zargons. My name is Matt, or Blackbird if you prefer, and this is the Trials and Tribulations of Zargon, a series which details the many ways in which the Emperor's heroes foil Zargon and his minions in their plots to conquer the Empire. In it, we'll review the published quests and any house rules or modifications we're using to make the game more interesting and challenging. In this episode, I'll be discussing the quests I designed for the youngest Hero Quest player in our group, Terry. So, why did I design these quests? Well, two reasons. First of all, to have some fun with Terry. In a previous video, Dave discussed how he taught Terry to play Hero Quest step by step, introducing the mechanics slowly so that Terry, as a young child, could understand them. Terry's got a pretty good handle on how to play the game now, so I thought I would test his abilities and see how he can handle playing some full-scale dungeons. The second reason I designed these quests is because Dave and I want to switch roles in our real campaign and have me take over Zargoning while he plays the heroes. So, I thought these quests would be a good chance for him to get some heroes up to speed since we're not going to play through the original quest pack again. So when these four quests were done, his heroes would have a good amount of gold and enough equipment to get through some of the harder quests in the quest packs. First, as far as philosophy for designing quests for kids and keeping them entertained, HeroQuest has a tendency to be kind of repetitive. Even still, as adults, we might not mind and understand that we're still making progress through the dungeons, but young kids could easily get bored with long quests, so we need to keep them interested. There's a deep well of fantasy and RPG tropes to pull from that might be old news for those of us in our 30s and 40s, but to a 5-year-old, they can be completely unexpected and pretty exciting. Quest 1, The Disappearance of Tyr. So there's a long introductory story, which I'm not going to read the entire thing now, but the basic gist is that the wizard Morlath has been rumored to be creating an army which will challenge the Empire. And Tyr, a warrior from a village on the outskirts of the Empire, has gone missing. And you've gone to investigate this because you think that the two things might be linked. Morlath, by the way, is just an anagram of Malroth, the secret final boss to Dragon Quest II. So, when the quest starts, the heroes have been captured. This is not new. Quest 6 in the original quest pack, The Legacy of the Orc Warlord, does this as well. But the heroes in my quest only get to begin with one character. So I let Terry choose which character he wanted, and he decided to start with the Barbarian. In the first room, the jail cell that the Barbarian was kept in, he met Herky, a friendly goblin. Morlath, the evil wizard in the story, has been rumored to be kidnapping villagers and turning them into monsters, and this seems to confirm that because Herky says that he's not really a goblin, he's a person that was turned into a goblin, and he joins the heroes to finish the dungeon. Having a playable monster and a little pet for the real heroes to have was very exciting for Terry, and he enjoyed controlling Herky a lot. Herky, by the way, is the name of a goblin in the book Goblins in the Castle, published in 1992 by Bruce Cavil. This was one of my favorite books as a kid, and I gave Terry a copy when we had finally finished all four of the quests in this designed quest pack. I hope he likes it as much as I did. So, the Barbarian and Herky get out of their jail cell into the next jail cell where they find one more captured hero. This hero is randomized by a die roll. It turned out to be the dwarf. I thought it was kind of funny that it turned out that way because before we began, Terry and David decided they were going to play together, each controlling two heroes. Terry chose the Barbarian and the dwarf, giving David the elf and the wizard. And so when the dwarf came up as the second character unlocked, Terry was on his own to control the Barbarian, the Dwarf, and Herky, while David had to sit back and watch. So Terry's heroes got to putter around a little bit in the southwest quadrant of the game board, fighting a few monsters and finding some gold and equipment for Herky, and then they went out into the hallway in a kind of linear path that sent them up and around and eventually into the center room of the board. This is where they needed to rescue the two other heroes. So they found the wizard and the elf chained up and delirious. Along the way to the center room, they found a mind-stabilizing potion, and they also found some food on a table to heal body points that had been lost in fights with monsters. This is one of Terry's favorite things to find when he searches rooms. In the center room, they killed the Famir guard and found a key to unlock the two heroes. Here's where Terry's lack of strategic planning came into play a little bit. There were two chained up, delirious heroes and only one dose of mind-stabilizing potion. David tried to coach Terry a little bit on administering the mind-stabilizing potion before unlocking the heroes, which they did for the elf, but then Terry decided to unlock the wizard, and I had some fun controlling the wizard for a while, who just ran aimlessly through the dungeon until they were able to find another mind-stabilizing potion. Of course, I was just playing around with the wizard, and I wasn't really going to let anything happen to him, but the heroes didn't know that, and so they wound up having one hero babysit the wizard and kind of keep an eye on him throughout the hallways, while the other two heroes continued searching rooms. A couple of interesting things happened in the second half of this dungeon. First, the heroes found a spell book, which contained a number of spells that they were able to try out, and they tested them all out. One was a healing spell, one was a wandering monster spell, and so on. One was called Conjure Gold, and they pretty much figured out quickly that that was the best use of it. So they conjured as much gold as possible to take with them out of the dungeon. And that was by design. I wanted them to be able to buy some equipment after this dungeon was over. Herky is designed in this dungeon to help the heroes out at the beginning when all four heroes are not together. Herky eventually changes into a feral monster and is supposed to be defeated, and that's that. But Terry became a little bit emotionally attached to Herky and really liked having him in the party. So when Herky changed into a monster and attacked them, I could see that Terry was a bit disappointed. Instead of fighting Herky, the heroes decided to try and capture him, which we quickly improvised, and I had them roll some dice a while until they got a favorable roll, and I let them tie Herky up and keep him in captivity in the outskirt village where they were staying in between quests. There's a trapped treasure chest at the end of this dungeon, which, if not disarmed, will cause a hero to go insane and require another mind-stabilizing potion. My heroes searched for this trap and found it, but when the dwarf went to disarm it, he rolled a black shield and was hit by the trap. This forced them to continue exploring the dungeon a little bit till they could find the last mind-stabilizing potion and save him. This was an unlikely situation, but as Zargon I was glad it happened because up until that point, my heroes were talking about using a mind-stabilizing potion to cure Herky, and I hadn't planned for that eventuality at all, so I was happy to have them take him back in captivity until I could figure out something else to do with him. And this required them to use the final mind-stabilizing potion on the dwarf, and then there were none left, so that option was gone to them. Two things that stuck in Terry's mind from this quest that I could see he was always thinking about and carried over into the other quests were number one, talking to monsters. He knew that the lore of these quests was that villagers had been turned into monsters, and since the first monster he met, Herky, turned out to be friendly, he wanted to talk to every other monster in every other quest that we found, until they attacked him and he realized they were just monsters. Same with Chaos Warriors. Towards the end of this quest, there were some Chaos Warriors that I used as statues, and every other Chaos Warrior we came across on the other dungeons, Terry thought they were statues until they attacked him. This video is getting a bit long, so I think I'm going to cut it here and finish up the rest in a second video. So please, if you haven't already, like and subscribe, and if you have any other ideas or experiences playing HeroQuest with young children, put them down in the comments below. We'd love to hear about them.